Suppose you arrive at port with your loaded ship and the merchant buyer who is waiting on the dock cannot pay for the goods. You have a problem. You can return to your country with the fully loaded ship and nothing to show for it, or you can unload the cargo and give it to the merchant. However, the goods are not paid for. Nevertheless, you do receive promissory notes from him for the goods. This constitutes a loan from you, the seller, to the buyer. You must trust the buyer's promise to pay, but in commercial law, the buyer just doesn't get to walk away with the goods, simply tendering, offering a promise to pay. You, the creditor, retain the claim against the goods. The goods are attached by what's called a maritime hypothecation. A maritime hypothecation means a lien until the goods are paid for in full. We mentioned hypothecation in Chapter 3. This term is likely foreign to you, so let's turn to Bouvier's Law Dictionary to fully understand it. Hypothecation, civil law. This term is used principally in the civil law. It is defined to be a right which a creditor has over a thing belonging to another, and which consists in the power to cause it to be sold in order to be paid his claim out of the proceeds. In maritime law, you have sold a thing off your ship to the merchant standing on the dock. The merchant may walk away with those things in his possession. However, if he has not paid you for those things, they still belong to you. Moreover, to prove that those things that are in his possession still belong to you, you have placed an attached lien upon them. UCC1 financing statement. In today's world, this is hypothecation. You are not only the owner of the lien, but also the owner of those things until they are paid for in full. And if they are not eventually paid for, you have the right to seize those things. You can cause them to be sold in order to have your lien paid. Even if he gave you a note of credit, say from a bank, the goods are not paid for until you are able to negotiate that bank note and receive the money. The bank note must be proven good for actual money, and that actual money handed over to you. If you own a home with a mortgage, you have a lien. It's a hypothecation on your property by the lender. Thus, all of the unpaid goods in the merchant and buyer's possession belong to you until they are paid for. In addition to the lien, follows those things to the next person who buys them, no matter how many times they are sold until eventually they are paid for. By the mark of hypothecation, you have the power to reclaim the lien property and sell it to satisfy your claim. The goods are not physically marked, they are legally marked. This is accomplished by what is known as an operation of law. This term expresses the manner in which rights and sometimes liabilities devolve upon a person by the mere application to the particular transaction of the established rules of law without the active cooperation of the party himself. Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition. To example the operation of law, when one fails to make his house payment for 3 months in a row, he is not necessarily informed that he has been in default. The default is not a physical mark, but it's an operation of law. By operation of law, the lender now has the right to pursue a foreclosure. The final operation of law is to have you removed from the premises and without any cooperation from you. Now use your house with the mortgage on it as an example. Imagine you were able to sell your house and you did not pay the lender the mortgage off at the sale. The lender's lien would then remain attached to the property. The new buyer would be making payments to his lender. The original lien from your lender would continue to be attached to the property no matter how many times it was sold until the final date when the lien was paid in its entirety. Liens don't occur in common law in the normal transaction of buying and selling. One may get a common law lien through a court judgment, but that is not what we are referring to concerning the liens placed upon goods not paid for. In the common law, the sale is immediately extinguished with actual payment of substance. The liens we are concerned with in this book only occur in commercial transactions. Anyway, this is a book I got about, 10 years ago. And It's a really good book. It's called They Own It All, Including You. But why does the guy's name that wrote it have to be Ronald McDonald? But it's going to give you a sight into what's going on with your birth certificate and what's happening in the world right now. Because maybe the United States corporation was unable to pay for the money that they borrowed, and they put us up as collateral, and now we're being held basically in a warehouse, locked in until they can renegotiate or refinance or just kill a bunch of us to extinguish the debt, because you're actually worth more dead than alive. I've been going through some old books, and this is one of them. So I've kind of been rereading this one, and there's a lot of really good information in here about international maritime admiralty law and bills of exchange, promissory notes, Federal Reserve notes, and how it all works. Because you are using negotiable instruments in your daily life, you're presumed to be an expert. Did you know that? And 0.01% of people that use negotiable instruments, Federal Reserve notes, are not experts and don't know any of this shit and what's going on in the real world. Another book I was reading is, I got this in 2008, and David Icke, the guy who I met personally in LA and got a picture with him. I used to be a big fan, but anyway, this book, Worldwide Evil and Misery, The Legacy of 13 Satanic Bloodlines. This book is about development of the New World Order that aims to suppress the whole of humanity. This publication has been challenged quite a lot and was even banned in France. We are raised by tradition to trust our governments and are convinced that they care about us. This, however, is a big mistake. Below the surface of official politics lies a complicated social and intellectual process that is taking place. The world is run by unseen powers who pull the strings from behind the scenes. Approximately 300 men that know each other and that appoint their successors themselves determine the fate of this world. I mean, can you imagine if you're able to just have as much money as you want? You could just buy everybody, and that's what they're doing. Even countries right now like Belarus that aren't going along with the COVID scam, even after they told them, we'll give you more money, just go along with it. And this guy's like, no, I'm not going along with it. And so now they're going to have a color revolution and probably trying to whack him out as quickly as possible. But John F. Kennedy spoke of a secret government behind the scenes of world politics. Quote, "We are opposed around the world by a monolithic, ruthless conspiracy. We are governed, our minds molded, our tastes formed, our ideas suggested largely by men that we have never heard of. In almost every act of our daily lives, whether in the sphere of politics or business, or in social conduct, or in ethical thinking, we are dominated by the relatively small number of persons. We are dealing with the rise of a neo-geopolitical supranational power on the world scene. This geopolitical power consists of the richest families on the planet, together with the most powerful multinationals. They rule and control all countries and all coalitions. The true aim of this elite group is complete control of planet Earth. This is a very unique book, and reading all they undoubtedly change the way you look at both history and the world today." I mean, some of this stuff is kind of outdated now, but religious practices of the elite. Do you believe in the existence of the devil, or do you think that the devil is a product of superstition and human fantasy? Does a personified evil spirit that calls himself Lucifer really exist? If you don't believe in the existence of the devil, it might surprise you that the Illuminati families of the world do. And I believe that, because these people aren't probably the smartest people in the world. They're clever. They're street smart. And Back when people were just trying to earn a living and plant their crops and, you know, just go along with their daily lives and raise their families, these people were plotting and scheming. I mean, just look back at how the Rothschilds got to be in power the way they are today. Just being money grubbing, they like to have gold. But people couldn't carry their gold around with them all day to pay things off. So they put it in a bank and they got a receipt. And then eventually they started trading the receipts. And you could take your receipt to the bank whenever you wanted and get your gold. And then they hypothecated it and they figured out, well, we can just give out more gold receipts than we have gold. And it's just a fraud, it's a scam. But you know what? In the long run, they're the one taking the responsibility for the whole thing. So when it's all said and done, we don't have to worry about it because it's on their head. And they're controlling the world. Go ahead and control it. I mean, there's so many stupid people in the world today that just go along with everything. I was reading an article yesterday. People in China don't watch mainstream media news because they know it's propaganda. But here in the United States, people don't know it's propaganda. They think these people are your friends and they come off like that. And when the news started going from like coming on at 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning to now it's on at 4 in the morning till 11 in the afternoon. I mean, that's like 6, 7 hours of propaganda every day. And they're laughing. It's the giggle news, and and there's a little bit of coronavirus, and everybody's dying. But hey, what's going on down there at the beach? Oh, it's funny. And then now they're taking them off and giving them their own shows, like their own cooking shows, and they're all CIA. So they portray these people as just normal people. They're your friends. They're very non-threatening. They wouldn't lie to you. We're just regular people. We live in your community. Evil, evil, evil. I don't know. Apparently these people have their own satanic ritual holidays. I think what people are suffering from right now is called trauma-based mind control. When you're just out right after 9/11, everybody was in lockstep, Everybody was waving their flaggers like, yeah, let's go get them, let's do this. People don't realize now that, there's more cases of COVID-19 because when your body tries to clean itself, it releases these toxins and give you like flu symptoms, fever, phlegm, cough, snot, getting all this poison out of your system. And the first thing people do is run to the doctor and go, give me some antibiotics. What I've learned is that we have more bacteria. We are bacteria. We're 99.9% bacteria. We have more bacteria than cells in our body. I don't know. (9/11). These people want to take over the world. But they've got to eliminate a lot of people in the process. Like I said, again, at Deagle.com that tracks military spending over the next 5 years, they're predicting that 86% of the population of the United States will be gone by 2025. This guy says he knows prison guards that work at the prisons, and instead of making furniture and license plates or whatever they normally do, now they're making heat sealed body bags. We all know the giant burial grounds that were pre-dug 10 years ago in Arizona, Georgia. The food supply lines are being shut down because of COVID cases. And you're asymptomatic. Now here's a virus that's so fucking deadly. The only way you know you have it is you have to take a test. And the other way, the biggest symptom to know that you have it is if you're completely healthy and don't have any symptoms. That's how you know you have COVID-19. So the whole thing's a fraud. But people are so frightened and scared. They're just going, let's just get this done. Just wear your mask so we can go back. There's no going back. You're not going back. Trump's not going to save us. I mean, the whole United States is under United Nations control. The bankers are in charge. I mean, it's 3 years. 3 70-year international bankruptcy cycles are over, and they own us. The only thing I think we have going for us here in the United States is that we're heavily armed. But is anybody going to do anything when in the moment of truth? I don't know. Because a lot of people that I see are running to Jesus. And they say that's a good thing. You know, that's why God is doing this, to pull in all his soldiers. And Jesus' main preaching thing is turn the other cheek and forgive them, Father, because they know not what they do. And I heard that's been bastardized. I think Jesus really said, if there was such a guy, don't forgive them, Father, for they know what they do. And the meek shall inherit the earth, 6 feet under it. That's what you're going to inherit. What else was I going to say? So I bought a bullhorn, and that was a rush. Went to the Walmart parking lot yesterday with my bullhorn in my car. COVID-19 is a hoax. Contact tracers are coming for you. The tests are all a hoax. You will test positive. And if you test positive, contact tracers will be sent to your house, and they will take your children. Wake up, people. This is an alert. And I did that for like 2 hours yesterday, and it was exhausting. I don't know if I'll do it anymore. One guy was filming me on it, hey man, what are you doing? And then at Walmart, I had some guy like following me. As I pull out of the parking lot, he's following me down the street. Like, motherfucker, I got, you don't want me to stop. Because it getting real quick. And then he kind of pulled off. I think it's hard for people to come to the realization that we are chattel debt slaves. I mean, literally bonded chattel debt slaves with bonds placed on us. And they're printing so much money and loading that on. I mean, it's not like the United States government owes that money to the foreign bankers. I don't know what's going on. We owe it because they're dead entities. They're corporations. They don't even exist in reality. They're just a piece of paper. But we make it in our mind like they do exist. The IRS is not a US government agency. It's an agency of the International Monetary Fund. They're the collection agency for the foreign banks. Well, they're not going to have foreigners work for the IRS. They have U.S. citizens, U.S. other debt slaves work for them, make it look legitimate. The IMF, the International Monetary Fund, is an agency of the United Nations. It's another foreign corporation doing business. Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition. The United States has not had a treasury since 1921. 41 Stat 214, page 654. The United States Treasury is now the International Monetary Fund. The United States does not have any employees because there is no longer a United States. No more reorganizations. After 200 years of bankruptcy, it's finally over. Executive Order 12803. The FCC, the CIA, FBI, NASA, and all other alphabet gangs were never part of the United States government, even though the US government held stock in the agencies. You know, it's amazing. I think if just 3 or 4% of the United States population would just look into what's going on with the United Nations, the World Health Organization, the CDC, they know that these are all foreign corporate, these are businesses doing business. Look at Bill Gates, he'll tell you, he gets 20x returns on his $10 billion investment into worldwide vaccines that kill many people. He's proud of that. Social Security numbers are issued by the United Nations through the International Monetary Fund. The application for a Social Security number is the SS5 form. The Department of Treasury, IMF, issues the SS5 forms and not the Social Security Administration. The new SS5 forms do not state who publishes them, while the old forms states that our Department of the Treasury, Council on Foreign Relations. There are no judicial courts in America and have not been since 1789. Judges do not enforce statutes and codes. Executive administrators enforce statutes and codes. There have not been any judges in America since 1789. This was all taken over by the British Accredited Regency, the Crown Temple in the inner city of London. They're the bankers, they're the collection agency, they're doing business. They're here to collect a debt. That's why all crimes are commercial and have a monetary value attached to them. There's just been administrators. According to GATT, the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trades, you must have a Social Security number, House Report 103-826. New York City is defined in the federal regulations as the United Nations. York, I mean, if that doesn't sound British, I don't know what it is. New York, it's a new world. There's a county in Maryland called Prince George's County. When I saw that, I freaked out when I was doing mortgages. I'm like, you live in what? Yeah, Prince George's County. Weren't these people we fought in the Revolutionary War and kicked them out of here? They never left. Rudolph Giuliani stated on C-SPAN that New York City is the capital of the world. For once, he told the truth. Social Security is not insurance or a contract, nor is there a trust fund. Yeah, no more stimulus checks are coming from what I can see. They're going to shut the whole thing down. When lockdown number 2 comes, the food supply lines are getting shut down. Here in California, they're shutting down the farms. They have they call them strike teams. The strike teams go out to your farm and test everybody. And nobody has any symptoms, but they're test positive, so they got to shut the farm down. Or social distance them, you know. Your Social Security check comes directly from the International Monetary Fund, which is an agency of the United Nations. It says U.S. Department of Treasury at the top left corner, which again is part of the United Nations, as pointed out above. You own no property. Slaves can't own property. Read carefully the deed to the property you think is yours. You are listed as a tenant. most powerful court in America is not the United States Supreme Court, but rather the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. The King of England financially backed both sides of the American Revolutionary War. Treaty of Versailles, July 16, 1782, Treaty of Peace 8, Stat 80. You cannot use the U.S. Constitution to defend yourself because you are not a party to it. The U.S. Constitution applies to the Corporation of the United States, a privately owned and operated corporation headquartered out of Washington, D.C., much like IBM, International Business Machines, Microsoft, et al., and not to the people of the Sovereign Republic of the United States of America. America is a British colony. The United States is a corporation, not a landmass, and it existed before the Revolutionary War. And the British troops did not leave until 1796. Republica versus Swears, 1 Dallas 43, Treaty of Commerce, 8 Stat 116, Treaty of Peace, 8 Stats 80, IRS Publication 6209, Articles of Association, October 20th, 1774. Britain is owned by the Vatican, Treaty of 1213. The Pope can abolish any law in the United States, and that's from the Elements of Ecclesiastical Law, Volume 1, 53, 54. The Catholic Church just received $3.5 billion in PPP, which is a Paycheck Protection Program from the United States or the International Monetary Fund. But they lobbied Congress to get it. Can you imagine? I mean, it's in your face, man. A 1040 form is a tribute to be paid to Britain. IRS Publication 6209. The Pope claims to own the entire planet through the laws of conquest and discovery. Papal bulls of 1495 and 1493. That's true, and it's never been challenged. They look around and said, we own the world. Wrote it on a papal bull. And locked it down below the Vatican. And that's how shit works. The Pope has ordered the genocide and enslavement of millions of people. The Pope's laws are obligatory on everyone. We are slaves who own absolutely nothing, not even what we think are our children. Tillman versus Roberts, 108. Senate document 438, 73rd Congress, first session. Weinhammer versus the People, 13, New York. Military dictator George Washington divided up the states into districts. Messages and Papers of the Presidents, Volume 1, page 99, 1828 Dictionary of a State. The people, as far as the Constitution is concerned, does not include you and me. Barron versus Mayor in City of Council of Baltimore. It's not the duty of the police to protect you. Their job is to protect the corporation and arrest code breakers. So many people I drive around are flying the thin blue line cop flag. I mean, these are the people that are going to come to your house and disarm you in their tanks, in their military olive drab uniforms, helmets and bayonets and M16 rifles and smoke grenades and flash bangs, and they'll get you. You know why? Because that's their job, and they're just following orders. Everything in the United States is up for sale: bridges, roads, water, schools, hospitals, prisons, airports, et cetera, et cetera. We are human capital. Executive Order 13037. The United Nations has financed the operation of the United States government, the Corporation of the United States of America, for over 50 years. U.S. Department of Treasury is part of the United Nations and now owns every man, woman, and child in America. The UN also holds all of the land in America in fee simple. The good news is you don't have to fulfill our fictitious obligations. You can discharge a fictitious obligation with another fictitious obligation. Go to stopthepirates.blogspot.com. I'll show you all the ways to do that. And I'm not going to one of these assholes that says stay safe. Don't stay safe. Stay unsafe. It's better that way. Go to stopthepirates.blogspot.com. Thanks.